great to see you. As you know, we're searching all month to find a very important, very valuable kind of treasure. We're searching for God's wisdom. So how do we find God's wisdom? Well, I have a few clues that we can look at to see what happened with one of the wisest people who ever lived, King Solomon. Solomon was the son of King David. When David died, Solomon became king. At the time, he was still a young man. David had tried really hard to teach Solomon how to listen to God and obey God's laws. And Solomon really wanted to be a good king who followed God. So here's my first clue. Do you know what these are or what they might be used for? This is a sleep mask you might wear while you sleep and a pillow where you rest your head at night. These are interesting clues. So what do you think Solomon was doing in the story? Right, he was sleeping. As Solomon slept, God appeared to him in a dream. This is what we read in the book of 1 Kings. The Lord appeared to Solomon at Gibeon. He spoke to him in a dream during the night. God said, "Ask for anything you want me to give you." Can you imagine what that must have been like for Solomon? I mean, he had just become king. Then God came to him in a dream and told him he could ask for anything. Wow! What do you think Solomon might have asked for? Let's keep reading to find out what Solomon said to God. "Lord, my God, you have now made me king. You have put me in the place of my father David, but I'm only a little child. I don't know how to carry out my duties. I'm here among the people you have chosen. They are a great nation. They are more than anyone can count. So give me a heart that understands. Then I can rule over your people. I can tell the difference between what is right and what is wrong." Isn't that amazing? Solomon could have asked for so many things, like a long life, lots of riches, or power. But he knew that the most important thing he could have was God's wisdom. He asked God to make him wise so that he could lead the people well and be a good king. Listen to how God answered him. God said to him, "You have not asked to live for a long time. You have not asked to be wealthy. Instead, you have asked for wisdom. You want to do what is right and fair when you judge people, because that is what you have asked for. I will give it to you. I will give you a wise and understanding heart." What did God say he would give Solomon? A wise and understanding heart. Solomon asked God for wisdom so that he could be a good king. And God said, yes. Okay, so here's your next clue. Don't you just love eating Rice Krispies? Me too. And you know what? This gives us a great clue for the next part of the story. You see, after Solomon had this amazing dream, he returned to Jerusalem. Again, he offered sacrifices to God. Then he had a big feast for all the officials who worked for him. They probably didn't have Rice Krispies, but whatever it was, I bet it was delicious. Soon after Solomon returned to Jerusalem, his great wisdom was put to the test. 2 women came to see him. They had a problem they needed him to solve, and they were both very upset. They couldn't seem to work out this big problem on their own. Here is your next clue. It's a baby. See, these 2 women who came to see King Solomon were fighting and arguing with each other over a baby. You see, each of them had recently had a baby, but sadly, one of their 2 babies had died. And now both mothers said that the living baby was theirs. Each woman claimed to be the mother of the baby who was alive. What a difficult situation. Solomon figured out who the real mother was, and he sent her home with her baby. Solomon trusted that God is the source of all wisdom. He believed that God could give him the wisdom he needed to rule over the people. And sure enough, God made Solomon so wise that his understanding couldn't even be measured, like the sand on the seashore. Remember this: trust God to give you wisdom. As you continue to grow in your relationship with God, your wisdom will continue to grow. So if you have a problem or a tough decision, talk to God about it. Ask Him for wisdom so that you know what to do. Our memory verse will help us remember what to do if we need wisdom. Let's read it together. If any of you needs wisdom, you should ask God for it. He will give it to you. God gives freely to everyone and doesn't find fault. James chapter 1, verse 5. And remember, God has put people in your life who can help you make the wise choice, like your family members and your leaders here at church. We can ask God for wisdom, just like Solomon did. We can remember that God is always with us and that we can trust Him no matter what. We can believe that He'll always be there to help us. Make the wise choice. Goodbye, friends.